is what? See that? So don't go, try to identify the structure. Try to know as why is this is the duodenum, this is jejunum, and this is what? Ileum. Okay? Make sure to do that. Do not want to say, okay, well, if I, in the lab practical, look at the slide sequence, the first one should be duodenum. So don't do that, because I have the individual one. Okay? Now, remember, first, if you look at your handout, once again, we need to identify what? The layers. That's our first task. The mucosa, the submucosa, the muscularis what? Externa, and serosa or what? Adventitia. Next, we have to know which one is duodenum, which one is jejunum, which one is what? Ileum. Of course, in this, they're in sequence. But we said that we cannot go with that. We make sure we should know why this particular slide is duodenum, and why this one came from jejunum, one came from what? Ileum. Remember what we said. We said that we'll look at the submucosa. Yes? And if in the submucosa we find Brunner's gland, yes? Then we say that should be from what? Duodenum. And if we see Peyer's patches, those dark purplish lymphatic nodules, if we see those Peyer's patches, then we said that should be what? Ileum. So what I need to do is that I need to remember, anytime you look at the particular tissue, whenever you do histology, you always have to have a reference what? Picture. Unless you already know. Like in my case, I don't have to have, because I've been teaching this for over 25 years. I know exactly what the Peyer's patches looks like, or Brunner's gland looks like, or so forth. But in your case, just in case if you do not know, for instance, what, you always have to have what? That's the reason I told you when you're coming in here, bring your lab book, so you know exactly what Brunner's gland looks like. Or see what the Peyer's patches looks like. So when you see them in here, you can recognize them. And you say, oh, this is the Peyer's patch, that should be what? Ileum. For the practical purposes, we said that if you do not find none of those, in neither the Brunner's gland nor the Peyer's patches, that should be what? That should be jejunum. So we first go and take a look at these 3 slides. This is like one slide which has 3 of them. First we look at the layers, and this is the whole tube. As you see, this is the whole tube right here. This is the lumen right here. These are those villi and microvilli, simple columnar cells. So from here to here, that's the mucosa. This is the submucosa. Submucosa. So the mucosa, the lumen, the submucosa. See if you go all the way around, submucosa. And then this is the muscularis what? Muscularis externa with circular and what? Longitudinal. With circular and longitudinal. And then that's the serosa or adventitia, where you don't see nothing. So this is on this. If I go to the next one, because remember this is, so here's the lumen right here. These are those villi. And remember, these are all simple columnar cells. If you go to 40, you should be able to see them. So, so the mucosa, the submucosa, and then muscularis what? Externa with circular and what? Longitudinal, and then what? Serosa or adventitia. Here's another one right here. Here's the lumen right here, the mucosa, the submucosa, and again, if you go all the way around the tube, the submucosa, and then muscularis what? Externa with circular and what? And then serosa. Now, So you pretty much identify the layers. Next, you need to go to the submucosa to find out which one is duodenum, which one is jejunum, which one is what? The ileum. And so I know where the submucosa is. That means I need to concentrate right here. So take a look in there, and for instance, find some of those Brunner's gland. See what the Brunner's gland looks like. See what those Brunner's gland looks like. And look at the submucosa, see if you can see those Brunner's gland. If I'm looking at this, if I'm looking at this right here, if I'm looking at this submucosa, that's very obvious. Can you all see the Peyer's patches right here? See all these lymphatic nodules? That is for sure is what? That's the ileum. Because in the submucosa, I can see these Peyer's what? Those Peyer's patches. So that's the ileum. This right here. Take a look at what Brunner's gland looks like. If I'm going all the way around right here, I don't see anything like what you see in your lab book as far as those Brunner's gland concerned. I don't see anything. I don't see. Do you see any Peyer's patches? I mean, let me go all the way around. You all know where the Peyer's patches looks like. Again, we're looking at the submucosa. Do you see any of those Peyer's patches in there?
No.
And if you look at the Brunner's gland, see what the Brunner's gland looks like. Do you see any of those Brunner's gland in there? So that should be the jejunum. But take a look at this one right here. Let me a little bit magnify that. You see these little bitty glands right here? See all these little bitty glands right there? These are all Brunner's what? Brunner's gland. And since I see these Brunner's gland in the remember this is the mucosa with those villi. That's the lumen right here. Since in here I can see those Brunner's gland, so and here again this is the muscularis what? External, circular, and what? And then serosa. And so since I see this Brunner's gland, that should be what? Duodenum. Actually, there's